Toppings, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to share with you guys how to make some delicious Gorditas Enchiladas along with the chile de aceite. So in case you guys want to learn how to make this super easy and delicious recipe, just stay tuned and I'll show you how. Alrighty guys, so let's get started with the ingredients. So for this recipe I'm going to use 1 pound of ground beef, 3 medium potatoes, 1 Roma tomato, 8 New Mexico, California or Chile guajillo pods, 2 garlic cloves, 1 white onion, 4 cups of Maseca, 1 cup of all-purpose flour, 1 tablespoon of baking powder, a half a tablespoon of salt, 1/4 of a teaspoon of cumin, 1/4 of a teaspoon of oregano, and 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper. For our salsa, we're going to need about 60 chile de árbol or 2 ounces, 5 garlic cloves, 1 corn tortilla, a half a cup of sliced almonds, 2 tablespoons of sesame seeds, 3/4 of a cup of vegetable oil, and 3/4 of a cup of olive oil. You're also going to need garlic salt and ground black pepper. So these are our ingredients. Now let's get started. Okay, so first we're going to start with peeling our potatoes. Alright, so after we peel the potatoes, we're going to cut them into small pieces. And it doesn't matter how big or how small you cut them, we're going to boil them. And this is just going to help us cook them faster. Okay, so after we have them all cut, we're going to give them a quick rinse. So I'm going to place them in here and rinse them. Alright, so now I'm just going to transfer them into my small saucepan. We're going to add enough water to cover our potatoes. And now we're going to set it in our stove on medium-high heat and let them come to a boil and let them cook for about 20 minutes. Alright, so while we wait for our potatoes, we're going to start to depot and devein our chiles. And I'm using New Mexico chile pods, but like I said, you can use guajillo or whatever is your preference. Alright, so after we have removed the seeds from our chiles, we are going to give them a good rinse. Alright, so in a medium saucepan, I'm going to add my chiles. And I'm going to add enough water to cover them. And now we're going to set on the stove on medium-high heat and bring them to a boil. Alright, so now we're going to grab our onion and cut it into fourths. Half of it is going to be used for our meat and the other half is going to be used for our chiles. Set it to the side. So we're going to chop the 1/2 of the onion for our meat. Alright, so once we chopped half of our onion, we're going to set it to the side and do the same with our tomato. Alright, so once we have our tomatoes and onions chopped, we're going to wait for our chiles and our potatoes so we can move on to the next step. Alright guys, so once your chiles begin to boil, we're going to turn it off and remove them from the heat and allow them to cool down. Alright guys, so after 20 minutes, your potatoes should be soft. So just check them, make sure. So they are, so now I'm going to turn it off. We're going to drain the water and now we're going to start to work on our filling. So now just mash your potatoes. And I'm going to add a little bit of salt. Alright, so now that we have our potatoes, we can cook our meat. Alright, so in a large frying pan, I'm going to set it on medium-high heat. I'm going to add a little bit of oil. And once the oil heats up, we're going to add our tomatoes and our onion. Alright, so once your oil is hot, we're going to add our onions and tomatoes. going to cook them for about 3 minutes. Alright, so after 3 minutes, we're going to add our meat. We're going to season it with garlic, salt, and pepper. Now just break down your meat and mix it with your onion and tomatoes. And now we're just going to cook our meat for about 7 to 8 minutes. Alright, so after 7 minutes, we're going to transfer our potatoes with our meat. And now mix it all together. Okay, so now you just want to try it for salt. For me, this is perfect. So now I'm just going to turn it off. I'm going to cover it and set it to the side. Alright, so now in my blender, I'm going to add my chiles. I'm going to add 3 cups of the water that we boiled our chiles in. I'm going to add 1/4 of the onion, 2 garlic cloves, our 1/4 teaspoon of cumin, black pepper, and oregano. And now we're going to mix it all together until we have a smooth sauce. Alright, so once we have our sauce, we're going to strain it. Alright, so I'm going to transfer my sauce back into the same pot that I boiled the chiles in. And I held 1 cup just in case of the same water that we boiled the chiles. Just in case we need it for our masa. So now I'm just going to strain my sauce. This is why I love the Vitamix. Okay, so we don't need that. Alright, so now just make sure that your hands are nice and clean. And now we're going to transfer our Maseca in a large bowl, along with the flour, our baking powder, and salt. So now mix it all together. And now we're going to add our chile sauce. So I'm going to start by adding 1 cup at a time and just incorporate it with the masa. So just make sure all your masa is covered with our chile sauce. So that was 4 cups of my chile sauce. Alrighty, so now since we still have a lot of dry masa, we're going to add the water from the chile slowly. So that was about 1/2 cup. And you're just going to work it. And of course, if you need more water, then just keep adding it. But don't add it all at once because it's better to have dry masa than to have it all, what is that? Aguada. And as you can see, my masa is still a little bit dry. So just keep adding a little bit. Don't add too much. And just keep kneading it. Now we're just going to knead it for about 5 minutes. And of course, if you're scared to add all the water, just dip your hands into the water and then into your masa. And you're gonna know you got the right consistency once you're able to make a little ball. And if you make your gorditas, see how it holds together, it doesn't break. That's how you know that you have the right amount of water. So just knead it for 5 minutes. Okay, so while you're kneading, take a little piece of your masa and taste it for salt. To me, this is perfect, so I'm not going to add anything. So now okay, so after 5 minutes, just cover your masa and let it rest for about 10 minutes. Alright, so after kneading for 5 minutes, form a big ball like that. And as you can see, your masa should be very nice and soft. And it's very manageable. So just form your little ball like that. Get a kitchen cloth and cover it and let it rest for 10 minutes. Alright guys, so after 10 minutes, we are ready to work on our gorditas. So before we get started, we're going to preheat our oil because we are going to be frying them. So we're going to preheat our oil so like that, by the time we're done forming our gorditas, our oil is hot enough to cook them. Alright, so I'm going to set it on medium heat. I'm going to add enough oil to cover half of my pot where I'm going to cook them. So while that heats up, we can start making our gorditas. Alright, so you're going to grab enough dough to form our gorditas. So it depends on how big you want your gordita. It depends on how much dough you're going to grab. So I'm going to grab about a size of a baseball, just like that, and start forming the gordita. So just go around like that, and it's going to look like a UFO like that, and then start working it and press it as you rotate it. So just clap your hands and rotate it like that until it starts to look like a tortilla. And then you don't want it to be very thick, but you don't want it to be thin, very thin. So this is perfect. Okay, so now just going to set it to the side and grab another bowl and do the same. And if you feel like your dough is sticking to your hand, just wet your hands. Alright guys, so after making our gorditas, this is what they look like. I was able to make 13 with the masa. So now we are ready to fry them. Alright, so once our oil is hot, and remember, we have it set on medium heat. So we're going to add our gordita, and we're going to let it fry for 1 minute each side. Alright, so after the minute, we're going to flip it over and let that cook for another minute. So by now, make sure that you get your knife ready because we're going to open them as soon as they leave the oil. Okay, so after that, we're going to get it out. And I have a kitchen towel here ready. I'm going to set it there so I can pat the excess oil. And now I'm just going to grab my knife and slice it open. So just go around it, all around it. Just make sure that you don't open it completely. Okay, so that's going to be fine for me. As you can see, it did not touch each side. Alright guys, so once we have our gorditas, this is what they look like, and now they're ready to be filled. Okay, so in a small frying pan, I'm going to set it on low heat, and I'm going to add my 3/4 of a cup of vegetable oil. We're going to wait for that to heat up, and once that heats up, we're going to add our ingredients. Alright, so once our oil is hot, we're going to get our tortilla, and we're going to break it in half, or in fourths. Just add your tortilla. And then we're going to break our onion. So just break it down. And we're going to add our 5 garlic cloves. And make sure that all of your ingredients are completely dry. And then we're going to add our chile de árbol. And we're just going to give it a couple minutes. And then we're going to add our almonds and our sesame seeds. Now, if you don't want to use chile de árbol, you can always use chile japonés. And for the almonds, if you don't want to use almonds, you can use peanuts. So remember to keep it on low heat. So like that you don't burn your chiles. Alright guys, so after 5 minutes, we're going to add our almonds and sesame seeds. And we're going to continue frying until our sesame seeds have turned into a beautiful golden color. Alright, so after a couple minutes, your seeds should look something like this. So now we're going to turn off the stove. We're going to cover our chiles and everything, and we're going to let them cool down for a little bit before we blend them. Alright guys, so after 10 to 15 minutes, we're going to go to our blender and we're going to add our olive oil and salt. I'm going to use about half a tablespoon of salt, but your salt is all your preference. And now we're going to add everything in the blender. So just be careful. Just try to grab as much as you can from the sesame seeds. Alright, so now we're going to blend everything together until we have a smooth sauce. Alright, so once everything is blended, we can transfer into our bowl. Alright, so transfer it to your bowl. And also you want to taste it for salt. For me, this is perfect. And again, if you want it more runny, you can always add more olive oil. And let me tell you that this salsa is spicy, super spicy, but it is so delicious and it goes perfect with your tacos, your pozole, and just anything. Alright guys, so now for the fun part, stuffing our gordita. And for the toppings, they're all optional. You can top them with whatever you want. I like my typical lettuce, tomatoes, queso fresco, and crema mexicana. So we're going to open it. Okay, just make sure you're careful with it. I'm going to add my stuffing, my meat and potato stuffing. And of course you can stuff them with however the amount that you want. Add a little bit or a lot. Okay, just flatten it out like that. Going to add my lettuce, my tomatoes, queso fresco, crema mexicana, and of course our salsa. And the salsa you can add as much or a little bit. Remember, it is spicy, but it is so good. Just like that. And now squeeze it and enjoy. And now for the best part.
The taste.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
I am ready. My mouth is so watery. I'm ready. Cheers. So good. Seriously, super delicious. The salsa is so good. It's spicy, but it is so good. And then if you have kids or if you don't like chile, don't worry, because the masa for the gordita, it's so flavorful, but it is not spicy at all. So your kids and everyone that doesn't like chile will be able to enjoy them. Huh? How is it? Good? Yeah. Super delicious. My grandma used to bring them, but of course they were not deep in the oil. Over there in Mexico, they make them in the oven, outside in the oven. So she used to bring them from Mexico to here. They were so good. Memories. Alrighty guys, and there you have it, how I make some delicious gorditas enchiladas. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video, and if you did, please don't forget to give me a big thumbs up, share it with your friends and family, and if you recreate this recipe, please don't forget to tag me on any of my social medias, and if you're new to my channel, please hit that subscribe button so you guys can be part of our family. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys on my next video. Bye.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh, no, no. Eres perfecta mujer, de la cabeza a los pies. Tú pasas de mi nivel, tú tienes el piquete. De la forma que tú besas, mami, más simétrica que un origami. De la forma que tú besas, mami, más simétrica que un origami.